So welcome all of you to the episode 20 on purity. And before we begin, we'll just spend a minute in silence and invoke the divine being for the talk. Yeah, so welcome all of you again to the Values for Life series, the talk on purity. And none other than the sacred festival of Rakshabandhan, which is just coming up tomorrow. It's really celebrated in a very big way, and it really signifies the pure bond which a brother and sister share. And today we have none other than Brother Eric Reste, who is the Canadian National Coordinator with us. And before I pass it on to the welcoming ceremony, I would just want to say that he was asking me, why me? Why have you chosen me to speak on purity? So let me share this inside story with you all. So I told him, why not you? A couple of reasons. Because at Brahma Kumaris, it's an organization which is really predominantly run by all the sisters. So we have heard the sisters many times about the value of purity. So I felt it very appropriate that a brother can share his views on the same. And secondly, a brother from the West, particularly speaking about purity, can be a very different perspective. So I'm sure Brother Eric is waiting eagerly to give us this different perspective. And we on the other side are waiting eagerly to hear his different perspective on purity. And with this, I would now pass it on to Sister Claudia from Vancouver to welcome Brother Eric officially. Over to you, Sister Claudia.
Om Shanti Erpai. Today is my turn, and I like to offer you these flowers. I like to say to everyone that you are not a national coordinator. Between us, the coordinators, we call you the national treasure. So you are the national treasure for all of us. So like you see, this flowers is like a sunflower. It's like you always give sun to all of us in the East and the West. So it's such a pleasure to be with you because you bond us in love. It's very nice. Rakshabandhan is the bond of love, and you bond all the Canadian family in love. We are so much in love with each other, all the Canadian coordinator, and you are the ones who bonds all of us together. So thank you for being with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome from all of us. And now I have something special for you, and I'd like Anu I will pass to Anu.
Thank you, Sister Claudia. Yes, as it is Rakshabandhan round the corner tomorrow, and we have this fortunate opportunity to have Brother Eric among us. And truly, I was also thinking, why Brother Eric? And such a divine coincidence that Brother Manoj chose you for speaker, and would really love to listen to you. But how can we miss this fortunate opportunity and privilege to present Rakhi, Thai Rakhi for you, brother? It's Rakshabandhan tomorrow. How can we miss it? But before I start, I would like to say just quickly, for maybe few may not know what it is. So what is Rakshabandhan? The literal meaning of it is bond of protection. And as it is celebrated traditionally, a sister puts all her trust and love in the Rakhi as she ties it on the hand of the brother. And in return, the brother promises to protect her from all the problems, difficulties, sorrows in life. So that really symbolizes that beautiful, pure bond between a sister and brother. But however, as we celebrate Rakshabandhan in Brahma Kumaris, as we understand the spiritual significance of it, that we understand that the real protection comes from the divine. So when we tie Rakhi, it is not only for brothers, everyone ties the Rakhi, the sisters too, and the divine blessing stays with everyone. So with that, I invite all of us on behalf of everyone, all the Vancouver family, the Values for Life program, and everyone who is watching. This is Rakshabandhan for our very dear brother Eric. And we'll start with the tilak. Eric, brother. So we start with the tilak on a beautiful flower. The tilak, yes, on the forehead, the center of your forehead symbolizes victory with the self-awareness. God's blessings walk with you and you are victorious at every moment. That's our wish with this tilak. No, yes, it's looking beautiful. Perfectly done. And then comes Rakhi. Rakhi for you, wrapped around the beautiful divine blessing. And here we come. The Rakhi. In time. So, here you go, brother. Open your hand and we tie it around your hand. And along with the Rakhi, does it look beautiful on your hand, brother Eric? And the divine blessing.
This is my permanent Rakhi, yeah.
Yes, yes, the divine blessing always is with you. And as we also understand, the blessing that we receive at the Brahma Kumaris Center is meant specifically for the person who receives it. So we don't know what is written inside. Sister Claudia picked it up for you, but we'll read it for you. The blessing says, God's love molds your heart into a sacred space that can hold a respect for truth and appreciation for every life and the utmost regard for others. So this is what you are. Like Sister Claudia mentioned, you tie all of us with love because the love of the divine is always with you.
Mhm.
And we cannot finish it without the sweet toli. And as we all know, this is the toli for you, Brother Eric. As we all know, coming from France originally, how much you love sweet. So this is the special sweet toli.
Thank you. This is such a lovely Zoom Rakhi I've never had. This is my first Zoom Rakhi. It's very sweet. Everything
Yes.
comes through Zoom. It's incredible.
Isn't it? So that's beautiful. But however, I'll just take another minute before we end, because as we mentioned, Rakshabandhan is for everyone. And so we will invite everyone for the Rakhi time. And very first, we'll invite our two other very special brothers, Brother Dr. Ashok Mehta and Brother Dr. Manoj Matnani. They're very integral part of the Values for Life program. And they are with us from the beginning, joining us from all the way from India, always. And along with them, I invite all the interpreters from all over the world joining us and making this program successful with all their interpretation. Germany, France, Kuwait, everywhere, India, and everyone of the Values for Life program and everyone who is watching. This comes with the first tilak of victory for all. Just feel it on the forehead. And then comes the Rakhi. Everyone, please feel it tied around your hand. And it comes also with the special blessing for everyone, meant for everyone. This says link of protection. And as I'll read, feel it is the divine blessing coming to each one of you. It says, empowered by the one divine, you enable others to stand for what they believe in, rather than fall before what they fear. So you are empowered with the divine blessing and you empower everyone else. And surely we have the sweet story for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Brother Eric. Now we can proceed further. I'll hand it over to Brother Manoj.
So wonderful, lovely. It was a very pleasant surprise. Even I was taken aback. But this is the way, this is the ancient traditional way, and I'm sure all of you have seen these beautiful qualities which Brother Eric has exuded actually. You know, I know him since I must say a few years now, but what I find so special about him is the humor he has, the attitude of cheerfulness, and also the joyous nature which makes everything very light. And it doesn't feel that he has this big awe of being the national coordinator. No, as Sister Claudia said, he's the national treasurer actually of the Canadian Brahma Kumaris. So let me just, for the people who don't know him, officially take a next few minutes to introduce him. I'm sure this will be a big surprise for you all as well, because professionally, he actually is a very famous TV personality, I must say. Excuse me. He started his career as a journalist for the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, in 1985, initially as a radio reporter in Western Canada. So he worked for the radio in 85. And then in 88, he became a TV news reporter for the CBC local news. And then he went on to also be involved in the national news and current affairs. And he's very much French at heart, as Anu sister already told you. So he moved back to Montreal in 1995, and where he also started working as a journalist and a producer for various television programs on the CBC Radio Canada. So this is all about his professional journey. And let us come to his spiritual journey, whereby Brother was introduced, or he joined the Brahma Kumaris in 1983 in Montreal itself. And soon thereafter, he was instrumental in opening various meditation centers in Edmonton and Calgary, which are two big provinces of Canada. And then he eventually, again being a French, he returned to the French-speaking province of the Quebec, and Montreal is the capital. And there he established, hope my pronunciation is correct, of French, L'Emergence. That is the name of the meditation center, the Brahma Kumaris Center, where he is stationed right now. And besides also coordinating various centers, he's also instrumental in various international projects, which include Images and Voices of Hope. That's one of the projects he was involved in, which was dedicated in inspiring new restorative narratives in the media. So he's really served the media circle quite a bit. And he now, as all of us know, represents the Brahma Kumaris in Canada as a national coordinator. And as all of you know, that it doesn't end the introduction unless I do a small poem for all of them. So for Brother Eric, he belongs to the land of Montreal and is indeed a diamond in real. Montreal and real. He has this wonderful shine and sparkle and is indeed for all of us God's marvel. You can look at his face, the sparkle, and for all of us, he's God's marvel. He will show us today the light and might by churning with his divine insight, that how do we make ourselves more and more bright like he is shining. So through his insight, through his light and might, he'll help us in making more and more bright and set once again all the things upright, which have gone a little bit topsy-turvy. One thing at Brahma Kumaris is for sure, that we all are originally pure. And that's the reason we have chosen this topic of purity on this auspicious sacred festival, I must say again, Rakshabandhan, because the last few lines on purity, purity is a foundation, which in turn gives us the right to coronation. Practicing purity helps us in performing Maya's cremation. So practicing purity helps us in performing Maya's cremation so that we finally reach our destination. Because for all of us, that is indeed our next station. So after Maya's cremation, we finally reach our destination, because for all of us, that is indeed our next station where we are heading, all of us. So with this, I'll just make a few brief housekeeping announcements as usual. So all of you can see, you all are used to it now. The interpretation icon, you can click it, and we have almost 8 to 9 languages. You all can select whichever. It's 15 minutes past the hour. We'll be having brothers talk for the next 45 minutes. And then the next 15 minutes would be where your questions can start pouring in. You can do it to me or to the host. And if it's a different language, I'll request you all to please also send the interpretation in English so that I can ask the questions to Brother Eric. And with this, our much awaited Brother Eric's talk on purity. Over to you, brother. Thank you.
Shanti again, everyone, and very, very warm greetings from very, very warm and hot Montreal. So yes, maybe my face is shining, but today might be with an extra shine of 30 degrees in the room that I'm speaking from now. So there might be extra shine, and it's not my purity. I have to be humble. It's just the heat. So nice to be with all of you in this magic Zoom land, which really has turned into a Rakshabandhan, celebration. So big thank you, Anuban, Claudia Ban, and Manoj Bhai, of course, for welcoming me here. Yes, I do feel much more comfortable doing the introduction and praising the guest speakers, giving them flowers, entertaining everyone, but not doing the talk. So I was very surprised when Manoj Bhai asked me to do this talk. And to be very honest with you, the first thought I had was, this is not a good match. I shouldn't be talking about this. I can talk about joy, about being cheerful, about being joking all the time. I can talk about playing tennis and a spiritual significance, but purity? Come on, there are many seniors who can really do a nice talk about it. Before I go into any of my, strange thinking about it, you wanted a different perspective, you'll get a different perspective for sure. But before I get into it, I just wanted to invite you to experiment something very special. I know we're in Zoom land. This is a beautiful technology. But I also feel that we can use the power of the eyes to connect. And I felt that I'm not, feeling I should give a talk, or many seniors can do that, but I'm happy to connect with all of you and exchange and share with you some moments of my journey in the pursuit, in the search, and the ability to make effort to reach purity. So before I talk, let us connect visually. You may want to open your camera. It's okay if you don't open it, but if you open it, it's good. And I'll just share with you my eyes. And if they shine, that's not because of the heat. That has nothing to do with it. They shine naturally if it's cold or hot. And when I think of you, they will shine even more because my heart will start feeling your presence. And one of the fundamental beliefs in Raj Yoga is that we are spirits before being bodies. And if we connect as spirits, as souls, there's magic in the air. So instead of just talking for an hour, I felt I would really love to be with you and feel as if I'm connecting with each one of you. So it's going to be like wiring for next minute. And we're just going to connect all the wires of the souls with one another. And you'll see it's going to be magic. So just keep your eyes open and imagine that now in front of you, yes, there's this brother in Montreal, but it's just a facade. It's just a mask. And what is really behind this person talking to you right now is a soul. And that soul is asking for connection with you as a soul. And for me, when I'm sitting in front of you, I emergence, the name of the center in Montreal means to emerge, to bring alive the awareness that I'm in front of my brothers and sisters. Some of you I know in this physical world, some of you I don't. But on a spiritual level, we all know each other. And we're all connected to one another. That connection is eternal. It's a connection that has always been there. And we know each other beyond our name, our bodies, our appearance. We're all part of the same family, brothers and sisters. And as we connect with one another with this beautiful, powerful thought, we're really truly celebrating this festival of Rakshabandhan, where the vision for one another becomes one. The thread symbolizes beautifully two parts unified with the seed in the middle. And our connection with one another is of brother and sister because we have the same father, the same parent, the same mother. So in the next hour, I'm not going to talk to just Zoom. I'm going to talk to each one of you with that connection in mind. And I know some of you are actually my seniors. Some of you have much more experience than I do in this journey. And I will connect with you not to share with you or to teach you, but to take from you support, inspiration, energy, and vibrations. And the purpose of the next hour is to experiment with the beauty of this value, which is purity. So it's not just a thought or an idea, but it becomes an experience. And after the next hour, we'll feel that we're empowered with this beautiful energy of purity. I'm just taking a moment to look at each one of you, and I see you're all smiling, and I can see light in your eyes. I know some of you brothers from abroad, from different countries, sisters who live in my heart. Some have permanent resident card in my heart. They have their seat already with the name permanently written in the balcony of my heart. So I know you're there and I see you there often. And for those of you I don't know physically, I feel I'm connecting very well right now, eternally. So I see your names. I see the star in the center of the forehead. I see your smiles. And so we're ready, are we not? It's called The Table is Set. Now we can serve the meal. And before eating, we used to pray a little bit or pause for a moment. So I feel before either sharing words or listening to words, it's good to also pause. And if I'm going to talk a little bit slowly, it's not because I'm getting old or it's because I'm just tired or because it's too hot. It's because I have great love, affection, and sympathy for the translators. And for many, many, many years in my Brahmin life, in my spiritual life, I've also been translating from English to French, or from French to English. So I'll try to honor the difficulty of these of the translation. So I'll try to speak slower, but I get excited all the time after a few minutes. So you may just tell me, slow down. Hey, soul, slow down, soul down. So purity, yes. It's a very, very big topic. And again, I just want to say that I'm very humbled to be asked to share this. I'm probably the less senior of the whole list of seniors for the past year and for the next one. And Manoj was very tricky in inviting me to give the talk. And I had to fight in me the huge temptation to find an excuse to say no, to cancel at the last minute, to beg him to find a senior sister with an aura of eternal purity who can talk truly about this divine virtue without lying. And I said to God, can you set me free from this one? And from the beginning, I thought, you are trapped because, Rakshabandhan is tricky. It's a beautiful Rakhi, but I don't believe it. It's actually what they call, how do you call it in English again? It's cuff, is it? When a person is made prisoner, you put them a pair of cuff, right? In their hands, cuff, something like that. And I think that Rakhi is a divine cuff between God and me. And he says, you've been playing with Ravan a little bit for the past many, many, many years and thousands of years. But I don't want you to stay in the jail of Ravan, for those of you who know the story of Sita in the Ramayana. So I'm going to take you with me in the diamond jail of my heart. So give me your hand. I'm going to give you this diamond cuff who will, make you divine, godly prisoner of my heart. It's kind of a humorous way of looking at it. But what I'm saying is that when I'm told to give a talk on purity, I thought, actually, this is going to be good for me. I'm going to listen to myself. And I'm going to teach myself. And I'm going to remind myself about this beautiful virtue that we want to attain. And I can only be honest, so I'll share with you, very honestly, part of my journey. And contrary to some of our seniors, and that's why I think you're thinking Manoj Bhai was interesting, with the highest respect and regard I have for our seniors, I recognize that our backgrounds are different. And many of the sisters that are now daddies and didis were highly fortunate. I don't know if I was unfortunate not to be born or raised the way they were, but I noticed that many of these, souls, very, very elevated souls, were almost born as saints. They were born in highly religious families. They were raised with extremely high principles from birth, even before coming to this knowledge of Raj Yoga. Many of them were very protected from birth. And then they came into a spiritual journey and they maintained this very high quality of values from birth. For me, if I were to tell you my life before Brahma Kumaris, you'll be very entertained, but it will not be under the topic of purity. It will be a talk on the topic of impurity, which is very different. And in my family, everything happened. Divorce, fighting, all kind of things, crazy things. I moved from one country to another. I was rebellious. I dropped off school. I rebelled against society. I wasn't vegetarian from birth. So telling my story before Brahma Kumaris will be really a horror film that I don't want to share with anyone. Otherwise, they will not see the sparkle anymore on my face, even at 30 degrees. But I would say that even if my journey started very differently from the journey of many seniors, I think my journey started like many of yours. And I think many people in the West, particularly, would relate to youth and, a different upgrading, which is different from being raised in a very religious family. What I feel that could be the message for today is, to me, purity is something that I look for as an aim. Is definitely the bull eye of our spiritual journey. The focus of where I'm heading is definitely going to be called purity. And I would say that purity is probably the most powerful unknown energy in the world. And purity is probably a more powerful energy than the nuclear energy, but it's completely unknown to most human souls. It's in the scriptures, it's in the bottle of water today, pure water. They promote purity somehow, but it remains a very unknown energy. And I would say that the nuclear energy may come from breaking the atom. And why purity will be the highest energy is because it's fixing, it's repairing the broken atma. And if you break the atom, you create energy. But if you reconnect the atom, the atma, the soul, you also create energy. And when the soul is not broken anymore, it releases this pure energy, which is more powerful than the energy released by the atom when it's broken. I'm not a scientist, so I may be saying things a little bit silly, but in general, we say nuclear energy is about breaking the atom, right? Purity is about fixing the atma, which was broken. So my target will be to obtain that energy. And the question I would have really for us today is, do we really become pure? Or is purity already in the soul? And we just need to find a way to release it. What do you think? Do we become pure? Or is purity already in the soul and we're just not seeing it? So this will be my little intro. And now that I'm getting okay with, not giving just an intro to someone else, I'll have to continue, right? Talking. So, when we talk about purity, first we need to understand, for me, I had to understand what purity was all about. And I have to admit, it's not a very, how can I say it? It's not a very easy quality to sell. I don't know if you agree. If you go around on the street and ask anyone, hey, do you want to be pure? They would say, what? What's wrong? What kind of question is that? Like, what's wrong? I'm not impure. What are you saying? If you go around on the street and ask someone, do you want to be happy? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I want to be happy. It's not offensive. And, we can talk about purity for month and month. I mean, this is a huge topic. But just to scratch on trying to even understand what we're talking about, the word purity will connect differently for everyone. If we ask anyone, what's the difference between, trying to be happy or trying to be pure? Do you think people wake up in the morning saying, oh, today I want to be pure? I don't know. Yogis, yes. I mean, all of us, yes, some of us. But people in general, when they wake up, You know, when they're tired, they just, I want to have peace of mind. Have you ever heard someone saying, oh, I just want purity? It's not a very popular virtue, to be honest. Peace, happiness, contentment, sweet, kindness, generosity. I mean, so many of the virtues that we talk about are very easy to sell. Everybody wants to be happy, to be peaceful, to be cheerful, to be kind, to be generous. Yeah, that's nice. But if I'm saying, do you want to be pure? Then they would say, oh, what do you mean? How much does it cost? What are you going to ask me? Is that going to make me renounce something? It's not the same. Just look at the difference. If you say to someone, okay, you are not happy, you're not insulting the person. You're just saying to the person, you're not happy, right? So you're unhappy. I feel sorry for you. But imagine you say to a person, are you pure? Oh, you're not pure. What are you saying? You're saying you're impure? That's an insult. You don't want to hear that. So it's a tricky virtue, isn't it? And that purity word in this organization is at the same time what defines us as unique, but also has what triggers trouble. And when we talk about purity, you are going for trouble. If you want to give a nice talk where everybody signs for a meditation course, don't talk about purity. If you start talking about purity, everybody's, this sounds like a path where I'm going to be asked to renounce something. I can see them coming. If I have to be pure, are you saying I'm not pure? Are you saying I have to give up something that is impure? And when the soul realizes that actually why we're impure is because we like impurity, honestly. And the soul, to a certain extent, likes impurity. I will be very careful when I get into certain words connected to this thing. But, temptations, the Christian prayer, Our Father, I've never liked it. At the end, it always says, please, God, don't tempt me. I don't know how translating into in English, but in French, it says, don't tempt me. Don't submit me to a temptation. And I always felt, why would God do that? Why would he, give me temptation if he knows I'm weak? And because we like vices in a way. Not everyone, not all the vices. But if we are still holding on to a form of negativity, it's very often because we take something out of it. In the Raj Yoga, Brahma Kumaris language, we talk about body consciousness versus soul consciousness. Am I aware? Is my consciousness dictated or shaped by the information that comes from my senses? That's called body consciousness. What I see, what I hear, what I smell, what I touch, and all the meaning of what I see, what I hear, what I touch. That's called body consciousness. Soul consciousness is the perception of my conscience based on something which is not connected with the physical senses. And in that area, most people would say, I don't know, I don't hear anything. If there's no senses, I don't hear anything. What do you mean? We're getting some insights coming from a non-bodily matter. It's very difficult for most people to know what we're talking about. So most of us, I think, to some extent, are enjoying some of our weaknesses. If someone, is drinking and you tell the person, well, you have to stop drinking, and the person realizes he or she has to stop drinking, they are going to stop something that they don't like, which is the effect of drinking in their life. But they have to stop something that they like also. because they actually like it. Not when they take too much, but to a certain extent, they like taking it. So when we're asked to be pure, it's a very tricky adventure. For me, I was born in France physically and raised here and there, France and Canada. And at the age of 14, my mother passed away and for illness. And I was very, very Catholic at the time. I told that story many times, but I was a strong Catholic and I really believed in God very, very strongly. I used to go to Mass every Sunday. I used to be a member of the choir. I was raised by priests and teachers. My piano teacher was a priest, and I've always had great relationship with them, a very, very nice relationship. But when my mother passed away, a fraction of a second after I realized my mom passed away, my first thought was to God, saying, I hate you. I never want to hear from you again. You betrayed me. And I felt I was doing everything right. I was praying every night. I was, I was mischievous, but in Christianity, we have something very convenient. It's called the confessional. You erase your bad things every Sunday, and it takes 10 minutes and it's fine. It's just like you make all the mistakes you want and just go to this little box every Sunday and you press erase. And the priest gives you a few little prayers to do, and it's called reset, erase. Okay, fine. They don't know about karmic accounts and, your karma. They just erase everything with a few prayers. So it's cool. So as a young boy, I would do many mistakes, but every Sunday I would erase them very nicely and then be a good boy again on Sunday afternoon. So when my mother passed away, I disconnected from God completely. And I started a journey for 7 years where I was in reaction to everything, God, institutions, parents. And I was really, feeling that something was broken inside of me, but I didn't want God to help me. And only after 7 years, I met someone who started to slowly introduce me to spirituality. Actually, it was a Buddhist. And it was the first time I met a Buddhist in my life. And I said, oh, Buddhist, I don't know, where do you stand? Do you like God? And I thought, if he likes God, I'm not connecting with him. I didn't want anyone in my life connected to God. But Buddhist, I was confused. I didn't know what they believed. But I liked this spirituality. And that was for me the introduction to Raj Yoga that I came to when I was 21 years old. And only then, when I was told out very, very briefly about purity, my reaction was, oh, we have to become pure. Oh, that's nice. You're going to remove about 80% of my mind. What am I going to think about now? If I cannot have impurity, you're removing about 80% of everything I do and I like in my life. And I felt good about it. I felt, oh, I don't have to complain anymore. I have to criticize. I don't have to get angry. I don't have to be negative. Wow, this is wonderful. So what are we doing? What do you do when you're pure? And what do you think about? What do you want? What do you eat? How do you sleep? How do you talk? That was like a new concept for me. And so that purity quality, that purity virtue, whatever we want to call it, is not easy, I think, to really understand. And it could be a turnoff for some people. And the day that thought came to me also was very interesting. And it was when I was, and again, I told that story a few times. I'm not going to tell it in details, but when I went whale watching in Quebec in the St. Lawrence River, and I was with a friend and I was a little bit hopeless and discouraged before I came to Brahma Kumaris. And then this huge whale came from under the boat, a blue whale, and it turned around, stopped, opened the eye, and looked at me. And I really connected with that whale in a beautiful way. And make it short, so the whale went away. And then my friend next to me said, oh, the whale looked at you, not at me. It looked at you. And I said, yes. And after the whale went down in the water, the thought that came to my head was very clear, was, I want to be pure. And I told my friend, I says, I think I want to be pure. And she said, are you crazy or what? Are you going to become a monk, or what are you going to do? What's that? And she had no idea what I was talking about. And I had no idea what I was talking about. I just had the thought, oh, I want to be pure. And then it disappeared. And a few months later, I came to Brahma Kumaris. And in the course, they told me about purity. And I said, yes, I heard that word before from a whale. The one before you who told me about it was a whale. Now it's a human being. Must be something there. So then I connected and I felt, okay, what is this purity? And again, we realized that pure and impure is not something we can approach like happy and unhappy. Certain values are about your ability to express your qualities. But purity touches the very fundamental nature of our being. Something is pure or not says everything about who am I. Religion has been very strongly talking about that purity. And it has created big complications and chaos in the name of purity. And sometimes when we use the word purity on a superficial level, we break relationships, connections, friendship, because we make it dogmatic. And I know, in some cultures or some religions, they become very strict about this is pure, this is not pure. And it can go very far, and I'll let you understand by yourself, and I know everyone understand, but sometimes I may even wear a t-shirt, without sleeves, and someone will be offended. And I say, you're revealing, part of your body. It's it's not pure. Although, is it? Some may feel that, in some culture, hair represent purity. And if you cut your hair, it's like, it's breaking the code of purity. So then we started to go into the thinking that if the hair is not like this, it's not pure. If the t-shirt is like this, it's not pure. If the shirt is that long, it's okay. If it's that long, it's not okay. So we became a little bit dogmatic about what is pure and what is not. And of course, we know the story, how it becomes, a buzzword that creates division, conflicts, violence. Someone made a reflection recently and they said, look at all many conflicts in the world. And are based on what? Very often about a form of lust and a form of anger. And I know these words are not easy to pull out in a talk, but since I'm not a senior, I can say all kinds of things. And then Manoj will be happy to have a different perspective because seniors will give you the very nice wave. And now, okay, I'm just a little effort maker trying hard to reach that purity. So, you look at the world and so many conflicts come from that. So the word and the value of purity is very tricky. And now, if I think about it, my approach personally has been one where I knew from the beginning, when I came into this form of meditation, I knew from the beginning, purity was the highest achievement I could get in my life. And to me, there was a connection between those three words: Raja, yoga, and purity in the middle. And I always like this notion that the sovereignty, the royal aspect of my being would connect with that purity. And I knew the yoga was the method to get it. So I got it intellectually. I thought, yes. And that's why I joined, honestly, the Brahma Kumaris wholeheartedly with my love. I was 21 years old and I made big sacrifices as a young, person. So I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking, I stopped many, many things. The list is very long. And they gave me the list and I thought, oh my goodness, yeah, this is going to make my life a little bit different. But the cupboards will be empty for sure. I will, so I threw all kind of things, all kind of food, all kind of clothes. And then I started, to become a young yogi. And I knew purity was exactly what I wanted. And in the beginning of my spiritual journey, I became a fanatic pure yogi. Purity, 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 purity. And someone was acting, he's not pure. He's drinking this, he's not pure. And someone said, you shouldn't think that way. It's not a good blessing to look at someone and have the thought, he or she is not pure. And I thought I was becoming pure in the beginning very quickly. And after a few months, I realized that I did put a big lid on all my defects. But after a few months, they were roaring inside of me. And one day it just exploded. And I became very angry at a sister, actually, in the center. And I had lustful dreams. And I saw that my ego actually was bigger than any blue whale that I could ever meet in the ocean. And I felt that my attachment to my body, to ice cream, to the bodies of others, to life was extreme. And I thought, wow. And I would hear about Ajamil in some of our teachings, one of the most complete hopeless case in the spiritual scenario, the one with all the defects. And I thought, oh, I think I'm Ajamil. I'm probably the one they're talking about. I have them all. And if I look at all the virtues, I would say, I want them all. But if I look at all the defects, I would say, I have them all. So how do you switch from one column to the other? And yes, I was wearing white. I was smiling. I was very kind. French people know how to do that very well. It's called being French. You play with words, you have nice roses, and you use a lot of fresh cream on every fruit, and it turns out very nice. You see, sorry, translators, I'm getting excited now. If you talk about French food. So I thought, okay, yeah, my little, how do you call it, honeymoon with God, when I came to Brahma Kumaris, lasted about 3 months. My first 3 months in Raj Yoga, honeymoon, blissful, fine. I was a pure, perfect yogi for the first 3 months. And then Ravan was waiting for me and said, you think that's it? You think that you can just get away from my jail just like that after you belong to me for so long? Forget it. And then the war started after 3 months. Dreams, thoughts, emotions, contradictions. I would start teaching the course, telling everyone about peace, happiness, and purity. And then going to my place, feeling I'm not that. I'm still very, very, very negative. And I would tell the seniors sometimes, I'm not okay, something. And they said, no, Eric, you're a pure soul. You're a very nice brother. You're okay. I said, oh, well, if they say so. And I would go back home. And again, we'll feel the rage and the lust and everything. And they say, you should see everyone as a soul. And I would write to, God in my letters, come in the body in Montreal in summer when nobody's wearing any clothes on. Try to be pure and see how you can make it. Easy for you in your little heaven to tell me to be pure. Just try it. Come into a French body, not another one, French body in Montreal in summer. I challenge you, God, you're not even going to make it. And you're asking me to do it? Not possible. So I was really like that. I was really, God, let's try. But then every year, Rakshabandhan will come. So we'll do a reset. And I said, okay, now I'm going to make it right. This year, I'm going to be pure. This will be my 38th or 36th, I don't know. I can't remember, Rakshabandhan this year. So Yeah, it's not that it was easy, but my understanding today is that the question being, am I really trying too hard to be pure? Instead of just focusing on seeing the purity in me already and just going into a different approach and releasing that purity. And maybe because I come from a radio reporter or media person, let me share my understanding of, I'm always in awe with this science, which I don't master at all, but I always find it fascinating that there could be a whole orchestra. Imagine a whole orchestra with 100 musicians, plus you can add 100 singers in the choir. And you put a few mics that will catch this amazing sound. That mic will do, I don't know what, I never figure out how it works, but the sound goes into the mics apparently somehow. And it goes down the wire that connects with so many other machines, computers, this, that, router, satellite, I don't know how it works, goes around the world. I mean, outside of the world, it goes up in the satellite. And within a fraction of a second, on the other side of the planet, somebody with a radio, a little box, or even now a phone, turn it on, put the speakers on, and the same sound comes back up again with your 100 musicians and your 100 singers in your room, as if you were in the concert hall at the other side of the world. Do you know how it works? Scientists tell me it's just one and zeros. I say, well, I don't know what you mean. I don't understand. For me, this is magic. I think God speaks the same way. And we have to figure out this radio in us to catch the frequency. And I think that in the same way that a radio, a physical radio, can allow you with the little button to go from one station to another. And imagine in the radio, you're listening to a very heavy rock and roll station. And because you like it, you play it very loud. And so in your apartment or in your house, there's loud, crazy electric music playing very loud. And people would say, oh, this man is crazy. Actually, no, he's just listening to a loud radio station. He's not crazy, he's just listening to a loud radio station. But the same person on the same radio can just turn the button a micromillimeter. And the sound coming up is suddenly soft classical music, very divine, very peaceful. Two musics could play in the same radio, just with tuning a little button slightly. So imagine you have one station called, I don't know, Pavitra 108 FM, Purity 108 FM, playing beautiful energy of purity. But 1 millimeter next to it, you have a very popular radio station, the most popular in the world, called Ravan 63 FM. It's your kind of evil station playing all the vices in their extreme forms and giving you the blessing, may you be vicious, or 63 birds. It's this terrible radio station, but some people like it. And the other one says, no, this is Purity 108. You listen to that one and you become part of the 108 most purest souls in the world. It's just 1 micromillimeters aside from each other. So, yeah, purity is maybe just like that. That we need to tune, focus on a frequency which is always there. But we're used to listen to the other one. And we haven't found the frequency of the pure energy of the soul. And that's why in meditation, in Raj Yoga, what I'm practicing now more and more is the understanding that if I focus on being a soul, and I put all my attention, 100% attention on just the being of light of the soul, that focus will allow the energy of purity to be felt, to be experienced. And my understanding today is not anymore I have to become pure, because I'm tired of it. It doesn't work. I've tried very hard. I don't think I'm becoming more pure. I'm just stopping to be impure and allowing me to naturally release what is normally there, which is purity. And I'm not trying to be more pure. I'm just trying to experience that purity which is in the soul already, part of the recording. Because we're told in philosophy that the soul doesn't really actually change. I mean, the container has the same content all the time. We are that radio, and from birth after birth, we just play different stations, different variation of different noise, different energy, until we reach again a time when we feel, I want to connect with the pure energy of the soul. And for me, purity today is about, yes, conquering the vices, of course, but not anymore by forcing renunciation, abstinence, not doing this, not looking at this, not thinking like that. I've tried that for decades, and it's hard work. And in my experience, it's working, but with a limited impact. But if I become real yogi, it means that I'm sitting in yoga and I look for that frequency. So I always share sometimes the vision I had with one day I came into a meditation room and I saw everybody sitting. And because I was visiting the roof of CBC before, and the roof of our television station has a lot of satellite dishes, if you notice, not just one, but they have 20 or 30, that's quite a lot. And I felt, oh, this is like a meditation room. Everybody's there with their big antenna and they're all searching, and they're trying to see if they're going to connect with God or not. So some finally get a buzz and they say, oh, I think I got it. But actually they're getting a kind of little funny station. It's not Ravan 63. It's, let's say, Maya, 108. She's disguising into a very divine station. And so this is Maya 108 FM. Very sweet, very kind. I say, oh, I think I'm hearing God. And no, it's a substitute. And so many of us think we're connecting with God, but actually, are you sure? Did you double check this is the right frequency? And so when one day I asked a senior, how many gods there are in Brahma Kumaris? He said, what do you mean? I said, it seems like we all connect with a different version of God sometimes. So you say, you're right. We make it up with our own thinking. We mix up frequencies. And so I really feel that if we connect properly as a yogi, the soul will start to experiment with the frequency of purity, not as I have to become that, but as this is in me, I have that energy in me. How can I make that energy now become my words, my thoughts, and my actions? And the work we're to do is not to become pure in that sense, but it's actually to just connect with that purity and see if I can let that experience continue when I start thinking, when I start speaking, and when I start to make something, to do something. Can I keep that frequency on whilst doing other things? And if not, then I need to go back quietly, reconnect with that energy of purity. And I see the time, so I'll be brief, but just feel how moving from the experience of purity to an expression of purity, well, that's what we call Raj Yoga, right? This is the whole practice of our life. And I find that the principles that we're given about diet, relationships, even hygiene of the body, what we call in Hindi maryadas, code of conduct, to create a code of conduct, pay attention to certain behavior. Yeah, they're very good to help us to develop or to maintain that purity. But they're not the end. It's not that I'm making effort to do that. And I find that if I'm making effort to follow principles, I think I'm missing the point. And I know it's a bit strange to say it like that, but I've tried very hard, to follow principles. And I felt it was the wrong focus. The focus is to be tuning in on that frequency of purity and enjoy it. And then use principles to preserve that frequency of purity, to protect it. It's like to be told, always cook at the distance from your pot. Always avoid mixing with different colors. So yeah, well, would I do that? It's much better to say, put a white cloth on you. And if you really enjoy this white, just check yourself how you cook. You're going to be really taking a distance from the pot, particularly if you cook spaghetti sauce that is boiling and splashing tomatoes everywhere. Just see how you cook with a white, nice dress that you enjoy. You're going to be cooking like that. Your spoon will be very far from you naturally. Why? Because you want to preserve your cloth. So if I'm focusing on experiencing purity, yeah, when I get into a situation that could affect my purity, I would take my distance because I'm preserving my purity, which is very different from trying to be distant when I'm actually feeling attracted to someone. That means I'm not connecting with my purity. So I would say, as a brother, I know you were saying about sisters who have a perspective, and brothers, for me, I worked, all my life in a newsroom, looking at what goes wrong in the world, reporting about horror stories to the world. And I told God many times, am I doing the wrong job? Shall I be going maybe as a baker? Maybe I should just bake bread in the morning. That will smell very nice. I will make everybody happy. And it would be much easier, to just see dough in the morning and nice flour and water and Om Shanti, that's it. Instead, I was watching news, listening to bad stories, being in a very stressful environment, negative situations. And then I was always told, what do you think, Eric? This is the best environment for you to find your purity. And I thought, well, this is to be more like, to me, masochistic spirituality. It's like, why do you put me in that situation? And I said, no, if you are in an environment like this, you can become a true lotus flower. You can be in the midst of the most negative place, but still uphold your purity. My first job as a yogi, physical, before I came into journalism, as a student, I had to deliver special maps for the phone company in Montreal. So the phone company used kind of engineering maps, and I had to go in the print shop, find the maps and bring them to the head office. And the print shop was a place with only men, and the walls were covered with posters, which I will bear you from detailed description. But they were basically posters of souls in a female body with very little clothes on it. And they were smoking all the time and eating all kind of crazy things. And every day I would have to go 10 times in that place, picking up the thing and go to deliver them. And I wanted to quit my job, thinking, why am I exposing myself to such, a strange environment? And I felt, well, check your mind, see how you can really process the information, because it's easy to be pure with no temptation in a way. But to be pure when everything around you is impure, it's a completely different story. And for me, I would say the journey of spirituality is really about falling in love with purity, knowing that there could be so many obstacles, so many difficulties, but that ultimately purity for me is all about liberty, is that purity will be the only energy that will set me free from any form of war within myself. And that purity will really be the final exposure of the soul when it's free from negativity, which we call sometimes the vices. And that purity allows me to be very, very, very close to the Supreme Soul. Because next on the frequencies of the radio, you have purity channel, but the really next one next to it is the godly channel. And if I want to hear the divine's thoughts, if I want to pick up the energy of the divine, I may have to learn the language of purity, because that's where it comes, that purity will give me access to that divine language. And I find that every time I'm concentrating on purity, I feel closer to the divine right away, because I feel able to go in front of the divine and feel good about it. But if I'm not focusing on that purity, I'm mixed up in my head. I'm just battling with desires, with passion, with bodily, frustrations. So what stops us from tuning to the Purity 108 station is just our habits. And I know for me, every day at 8 o'clock, I like one station to listen to the news. And even if you tell me God is speaking on the other channel, I say, okay, but it's 8 o'clock. I have to hear the news. So it's very hard for me not to listen to the news at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's my sanskara, my habit. And to listen to, some days I should really listen to meditation music, not to the news. I'm already buzzed and negative. And God will tell me, why do you listen to the news? And I would say, well, it's 8 o'clock. It says, wrong answer. But instead of listening to peaceful music, I still listen to peaceless news at 8 o'clock. It's a habit. So why we're not listening to the Purity channel? It's just a habit. We're used to listen to our body channel. That's a very entertaining channel. Let's listen to body channel FM. Oh, what's the news today? Oh, I'm going to eat this. Oh, that's nice. Oh, she's dressing like that. Oh, what a nice dress. Did you see the hairstyle of that one? Wow, that's really cute. You look so nice. This is Body Channel 108, Everything you want to know about your body and everyone else's body, There could be many channels like that, advertising all kind of silly things. And we like it. Ask everyone, including, members of Brahma Kumaris, what are you watching on YouTube? Look at your YouTube history, and I'll tell you who you are. What do you like? Do you all watch American Got Talents or British Got Talents or whatever? What are we watching on YouTube? Where are we tuning? That's the story of our lives. Anyway, I can talk for hours, although I shouldn't be the one talking. And to all my dear sisters and brothers listening who are thinking, oh, now we need another year of these values to bring them back to proper thinking. What did he say? Why did you allow this brother to say anything? So I apologize. And to all my senior brothers and sisters, thank you for supporting me with your love. And I promise I'll never come again except to welcome the seniors again with my love, flowers, and maple syrup anytime, Manojbhai. So back to you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Brother Eric. It's absolutely fine. You showed us a very different perspective of purity. And the most important thing which I want to say is wanted to convey the message to all our viewers as well. As Brother Eric rightly pointed out, that purity is not to be forced upon. It's not about abstaining from something, renouncing something. It's about just developing that divine connection, but first maybe knowing myself as that pure soul. As you rightly pointed out about atom and atma, these two words are very similar. Atom is an English word, atma is a Sanskrit word. So all of us, once we go inside, we touch that pure core of ours and we start focusing on who am I, then these probably things will just go off. Okay, on this note, there is a very similar question. I think you've already answered it, but I'll just, it's a very practical question from daily life. I'll just take this, that when I'm living my life, doing the best I can, earning money, buying house, buying things, and providing for my family everything, am I still a pure soul? And I'll just complete it, the second part of it. I seem to want to do this and that and still buy this and that, as you said, the body channel. So do I need to renounce everything to experience that purity?
Yeah, it's a good question because, we've always been confronted. Like I said, I worked full-time all my life. I'm still working full-time. I also, ran big programs in CBC, investigative journalism. I buy cars, I have cars. I had a Volvo. If it can help anyone who feels guilty about having a nice car, it's okay. And I called my senior before buying the Volvo to see if it was impure or pure. So I got blessings for a Volvo, and now I changed for something else. I think it's fine. For me, purity is not about what I do, but it's about the energy that I exude in my life. And purity is about the quality of my mind. That's where we measure really purity. It's with the quality of the thoughts that I have, the feelings I have for others, the generous heart that I have, the ability not to feel guilty, the ability to be kind. Purity, we say, is the mother of all virtues. That when we touch purity, it just makes all the other virtues blossom. If I feel purity in me, it's easy to love. If I feel purity, it's easy to be peaceful. It's easy to be happy. Impurity is just like sometimes it's just a tiny little grain of sand, in the whole machinery. It's a little spot on your white dress, spaghetti sauce. It's a tiny one, but your eyes only go on that. So it's fine to buy houses, cars, have a full life, to enjoy, to go traveling, to enjoy everything. I mean, there's nothing, in my understanding, nothing is wrong with doing everything, as long as we don't, of course, abuse or, become part of very, very strange karmas. We pay attention to what we eat, of course. We don't say to people, eat anything you want, drink whatever you want. Every things we do will have a consequence, but we can do anything which is, reasonable. The level of purity will come at that point from what is my intention. Why am I doing everything, even if it's to have a family and look after, a partner and children? What's the highest motivation beyond all this? Am I really motivated with a spiritual purpose? Am I really trying, do I really want to release in this present life before I leave my body? Do I want to experiment with the highest level of who I am as a being? Do I want to be noble? Do I want to be divine? Do I want to be almost perfect in a sense, not like a superhero, but just perfect in a sense to be a wise, gentle, kind, loving, generous person? And why not? The world needs that more than ever. I think we know it. The world is in a shortage of holy people. And that's what purity is all about. It's just being holy, doing what others are not doing, because we are experimenting an energy that no one is tapping into. That's why I said this is the highest form of energy, I believe, but the most unknown one. It's very difficult to sit and say, okay, now I'm going to be pure. I've tried it. It doesn't work like that. It's very difficult. It takes a process to tune in for a long time and finally find that little line that takes me to the experience that I am, purity is in me. I've been that pure being at some point in the past, and I'm going to become that again. It's a very tricky tuning. I like it tuning because it's synchronizing with an energy that exists already. So yeah, nothing wrong with buying what we buy and doing what we do, just checking what's my intention.
So great. That was a beautiful answer, because it's all about what we call in Hindi the bhav, the intention, what is behind. And it touches upon, you also told those three things: my thoughts, my words, and actions. So the true purity is something which is internal, like what am I thinking about a person? What am I feeling? What am I saying? And what am I doing finally? So, I mean, if I'm pure at all those three levels, I don't really need to think a lot about being pure. I'm already pure if I'm doing that. And I'll just take, in the interest of time, I'll just take this last question, because you mentioned about habits and sanskars, which pull us towards not the channel of purity, but it pulls us towards the body channels of Maya and Ravan, as you said about the FM. So the brother is asking that how can one get rid of impurities which are deeply embedded in the subconscious mind? Because the subconscious mind is full of all our habits and sanskars. So how do we get rid of those which are embedded so deeply inside?
Well, I think that in a short answer will be the connection between science and silence. And I think science has shown us how to cure some diseases, at least to the best of their expertise, to cure some diseases with higher form of energy. And we know now with laser, with radio, and how do you call it, radiotherapy, or different type of energy can really focus on certain cells and destroy, the root of the problem. And compared to just putting a little bandage, which is very limited in its capacity to heal, the science has taken us into the root of the problem. Same with silence. When we have a deeply rooted habit, by trying to address the habit on the habit level is like putting a bandage on the skin. Going in deeper level of silence means to go beyond the sanskara, beyond the habit, and trying to find the cell that causes the habit. And in silence, what we experiment with is the bodiless stage, disconnecting from the sense organs. So we get an energy which is so powerful that we're not even thinking about our habit, our negative habit, but we first go and tap into another level of energy. That's called what we call yoga. And eventually we connect with the divine. And we believe, I think, in Raj Yoga, that the only way to change deeply rooted habits is to inject in the soul kind of a spiritual chemotherapy, if you want. And I know it's not necessarily a positive image, but to inject in the soul divine energy that will do the work, because that energy knows how to find your cell, which is broken. You don't know where that cell is. It's beyond our understanding, but the divine energy will find its way to the root of those negative sanskaras, those negative habits. And the fire, that's what we say, with the fire of that energy burns the origin of the negativity. And that's been really, honestly, my experience. just sometimes to even realize that some of my negative traits are just almost gone and I didn't pay attention to it. And it's just gone. And other people start telling me, oh, Eric, you're very patient. And I say, what? I used to be the most impatient person before. How did I become patient? I don't know. Certain aspects I never paid attention to it. It just became like that because some of the root cause was burned. But deep rooted samskaras, habits, on my understanding, only yoga can change it. Not thinking, not turning, not forcing, not therapy, not psychotherapy. I mean, they're helpful sometimes, but they will not go into the only route is energy level. Realizing how this pure energy is in me. And then in the action, try to use that pure energy. I force myself sometimes, honestly. I go for a walk, whatever, and I meditate. And I say, can I walk in the park and not allow my eyes once to be distracted by body channel? Temptation is there. There's many body channels going and running around and playing tennis and doing all kinds of things. And I say, can I stay focused? Just one spin around the park. Just focus on my soul channel. Try it. That changes habits. Actions with that energy creates new habit. And that's what we say. It's not removing a habit, it's creating a new one.
Yeah, fantastic. So the root of all these, it's practicing soul consciousness. And I'm sure you will give us a glimpse of that very soon in the meditation. And it was very unique on your part to start with that reflection, which we had for the first 5-10 minutes, which we have never done so far in our talk. So thank you for that as well. And thank you for all the answers and taking us in the depth of this purity, not on a superficial level, but in the depth. So with this, I would now want to invite Dr. Ashok Mehta. He's there with us and to propose the vote of thanks for Brother Eric. Over to you, Dr. Mehta. Yeah.
Om Shanti, Eric Bhai. Thank you very much for views expressed in a different way. You were in a different style and a different mode altogether. I think it was more like Mahatma Gandhi revealing his life. If you read his life, it's almost the same. You have to go through all the struggles. And I think that's more revealing and more, I would say, more convincing that everyone has to go through a process. And you had to go through a different process altogether. We are very happy to listen to you. And especially, we enjoy every time you speak, because you have so much of what we call a ramnik, the joy and happiness coming out of your talk and making us happy and make it lighter in life. Thank you very much, Eric Bhai, once again. You are a unique brother, and I'm sure that you are going to be one of those important 108 souls. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. It's a beautiful blessing. And, just the sound of your voice for me is the path to this pure energy. So I can feel it, I can hear it, and I can see it even through Zoom. So thank you. Really appreciate.
So lovely, so much. Thank you. Even we are so blessed to have you with us, and you got this blessing of being in the rosary of 108. So we envy you now a bit. Anyway, I'm just kidding. And you'll be on one more of our talks as well in future. So it's not that this talk was something like we'll shun you fully. It's not like that. Please don't feel like that. So with this now, I pass on to Anu's sister to make the announcements. Over to you, Anu's sister.
Thank you very much, Brother Manoj. And I'll be quick. Really, definitely want to thank Brother Eric for that really practical journey of loving purity and achieving it through yoga. Thank you so much, Brother Eric. We are taking inspirations for each one of us. And tomorrow, the next upcoming program is tomorrow itself, as it is Rakshabandhan. To understand more about the significance of Rakshabandhan, like Brother Eric said, we'll have our senior sister Sudesh Didi joining from Europe. She's the European director of Brahma Kumaris, and Sister Aruna, who is the senior Raj Yoga teacher from Kuwait. It's happening tomorrow, 22nd August, evening 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. India time, which makes it morning for North America. And I think we won't be able to attend because of Rakshabandhan practically, but we'll look forward to watch on the YouTube video later on. But however, from different parts of the world, everybody can join. Please join us. The UK time is 2 to 5 p.m. and Kuwait is 4 to 7 p.m. And the next one is, as we always do after 1 week, the values workshops on purity. And so we'll have experiential reflective exercises towards practicing purity in our life, and followed by the insightful talk and meditation by one another very special sweet sister, Sister Wadi. She will be joining us from Miami. So join us then. It is on Saturday, 28th August, evening 7:30 to 9:30 India time. That is 7 to 9 a.m. morning, West Coast, US, Canada, and 10 to 12 for East Coast. And before next talk, we have another one that is, again, another celebration that marks the birth of Sri Krishna, and definitely very well, purity. So we have planned this program as well on the spiritual significance of Janmashtami, and we'll have our senior sister B.K. Asha Didi joining us for that. She's the director of Om Shanti Retreat Center in Delhi. So it is on 4th September, Saturday morning, 9 to 10:30 a.m. India time. That makes it 3rd September, Friday evening, West Coast, 8:30 p.m. I think East Coast, we can have the videos for them. May not be possible. Join us then. And our next Values for Life talk is episode 21 on that very important virtue, patience, dharyata. And for that, we have Brother Charlie. He is the director of Brahma Kumaris in Australia. He'll join us from Sydney. And to accommodate his timing, it is a little bit changed the time. So next one is 5th September, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for India. That would be previous day, 4th September, Saturday evening, 8:30 for West Coast, US and Canada. So please note, and you can find information about all these programs, the joining info, and the videos of all these programs on our websites. Visit us at www.vihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. Over to you.
Thank you, Sister Anu. I'm sorry we have exceeded the time, but I'm sure all of us are wanting this beautiful meditative experience on purity. And Brother Eric is exuding those vibrations. I'm sure all of you can sense that. So we'll just request Brother Eric for the last 5 minutes, though we are a bit late, for the meditation. Over to Brother Eric. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, my apologies for taking more time that was given, but let's conclude with those few minutes in silence. And even if the eyes remain open, we can visualize as if another eye is also opening, the eye of the heart filled with a beautiful experience of love. And I open my heart to the whole world. I visualize a beautiful light just as if I had a huge, unlimited living room where I can welcome the whole world. And I give light and might to everyone. And at the same time, I connect deep within me, with my sacred space, as if there's a very unique, secret little corner in the soul. And I know I'm the only one who can be there. This is really my secret spot. And this is where I can meet the Supreme Light personally. That sacred space is my sacred meeting space with the Supreme. It's not the living room for the whole world. It's just that beautiful room of light filled with purity. It is my special room. It's a unique room. It takes me to the core of who I am. And I just see how the soul is purity. That when I just hear the word soul, it brings me exactly to that sacred space, that room of light filled with purity. And in that beautiful little room of light, the Supreme Light can also be felt. Can it be seen? Can it be heard? I feel I can have a conversation with that light because it is so pure. And I need that pure, sacred space to host such an amazing guest as the Supreme Light. So I know that beautiful room of light, and I know I have to go back to this huge living room for the whole world. But I take with me the hand of the Supreme. And even if I go into the field of actions, I will speak, I will look, I will interact, but I will always feel my holding the hand of light of the Supreme. And that hand protects me like a beautiful bracelet of Rakshabandhan, always on me, always protecting me. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So thank you so much for the beautiful experience. Thank you once again for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for inviting me.